Hello, everyone. You're listening to the Live Your Raw Life podcast. Welcome to the platform where the intention is to help you live your rich, authentically aligned, wholesome life. I'm your host, Rachel Ann Watkins. Together, let's raise your vibration and awareness in order for you to live the raw life that was meant for you. Hello, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Live Your Raw Life podcast. Today, I have a beautiful guest on the show. Today, Thalia Devi is here with us. Thanks, Devi, for being here.
Hi, thank you for having me, Rachel.
So Thalia Devi is a tantric embodiment and sexuality coach. She works with tantra massage retreats and is also the founder of the Pleasure Priestess mentorship. And along with all of that, she also guides her clients through gentle yoni massages. And I'm so excited about this conversation because there's lots of words in there that I'm not entirely sure what it is, what it entails. And so we all get to find out at the same time. And this conversation is just, for me personally, I will say long overdue. So, and I could not think of such a kinder and gentler soul to guide us through this whole process. Yay, I'm so glad you're here. So could you just share a little bit about your background, where you're from? I know you're living in Mexico now. We all have weaving, winding paths. So how did you land where you are?
Thank you, Rachel. Yes, lots of juiciness to dive into today. Where to start, where to begin? I am originally from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. My roots are Belgian and Austrian, and honestly, my spirit is so nomadic. I never quite know where my next destination will take me. So it's always a surprise for me as well. I landed in Mexico about a year and a half ago after about a year of having recurring dreams of this magical land. And here I am. And as soon as I arrived, I just felt so welcomed by the land herself, by the beautiful communities here. And it's just been a joy to live in this beautiful tropical paradise out here.
Amazing. That is so incredible. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, so I should just let everyone know. So Vanessa Ferraro, she was also on the podcast. She was episode 82. And that's how I met Devi for the first time. We were both in the Wealthy Goddess movement as we've been building our businesses and really moving forward with our purpose, our dharma, our mission here on earth at this time. And I'm going to totally be honest. Your work scared the shit out of me. Because I mean, just like, it's lots of people I think can relate to this. I grew up in the Midwest here in the United States. And it was not like, we didn't talk about sex. We didn't talk about pleasure. It was forbidden. In fact, I went to a religious school where they taught us it is simply to procreate and only when you're married. And there was nothing about personal pleasure and what that could look like. So I've always had that maybe I don't want to say mentality, but it is a little bit, right? It's just that thought process, we're not supposed to talk about it, it's dirty. And so I am excited about having this chat with you so that you can kind of bust up some of those myths and really put a new spin on how it all could really help us heal, how it can help us grow. And so I'm so excited to dive into your work. So we had chatted a couple weeks ago or a week ago or so, and you had said, as we were talking, that really within your container, you talk about using pleasure as a sanctuary for healing. How did that come to be for you, and what does that look like?
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for sharing a little bit about your journey with that conditioning around sexuality. I think it's a really big piece for most women and many people. Around sexuality being such a taboo. And it tends to be sort of the missing piece that we tend to on our healing journey. So I have many women from all walks of life that come to me. And the one thing they tend to have in common is that this is the last piece that they've dared to fully look at, to dare open this portal, because there's so little that we know about it, about our own sexuality and the power that lays within it. And there's also so much miseducation and misconceptions around this incredibly potent life force energy. Yeah. So, pleasure as a sanctuary for healing. One of my big revelations on the journey was, and after many years of diving deep into my trauma, into my pain, thinking that was the only way to truly heal. And some experiences led me to experience deep pleasure. And in this moment, I understood that we can also heal through pleasure. So we don't always have to go into the pain to transform. We can also transform through pleasure. And we can see pleasure as this high vibrational frequency that can fill us and cleanse us. And as we allow this beautiful healing frequency of pleasure into our bodies, into our fields, then this can naturally purify and push out all of the muck and really bring our shadow to light for healing.
Wow, what a great way to look at it.
So if we look, I mean, there's many forms of pleasure, clearly, not only found in sexual experience. However, if we do look at pleasure stemming from our sexuality, our sexual energy is our life force energy. It literally has the potential to birth a child, to birth a soul. So the ancient tantrics understood that we have this inherent power to birth through this energy. And they understood how to actually redirect this energy to rebirth their consciousness.
Wow, that's huge. So we talked about sanctuary for healing and how that came to be, and that's amazing. And then you talked about rebirth through their consciousness. And I want to come back to that. However, I think it would be really, really great, not only for me, but for the audience to talk about, okay, first, what's Tantra massage and what happens in those retreats?
Yeah, beautiful. So Tantra massage was actually the last form of body work that I landed on after many years of traveling the world and learning various forms of healing arts, massage therapies, and energy healing. And this really brought it all together for me. It was the last piece, like the final piece that I felt like I'd been searching for all along. And I felt this because this full body massage, which is also highly energetic, encompass the genital massage. And this is quite unique, as you know, pretty much in every culture, when you receive a massage, you know, they barely touch your breasts, and there's definitely no contact to the genitals, right? There's so much taboo, there's so much shame, and there's also, I mean, you would feel unsafe, right? Receiving from a stranger. So there's not this element of sacredness. So yeah, Tantra massage is a holistic form of body work, which restores the sacredness in the body. So seeing the body, the soul, the energy as a whole, and therefore we also take into consideration massaging the genitals with deep respect and devotion, using specific techniques from the ancient Tantric and Taoist techniques, which arouse energy. And this is for the benefit of healing and liberating oneself through this energy.
Is that through breath? Like the different ways of getting there? Is it breath work? Is it like, because I think I watched a documentary on this actually one time. So,
Right.
but it might be different. So I just want to like be clear.
Yeah, so it's a full body hands-on massage. So it's
Okay.
stemming from Ayurvedic massage, which is an ancient healing system from India. So we have the hands-on massage, and this is combined with energetic tantric principles. So understanding this and opening up the meridians in the body through pressure points called marma points We open up the energetic channel so that when we do arrive to the genital massage, the energy can freely circulate through the body. And as this happens, there can be powerful, sometimes uncomfortable, and also beautiful and even mystical effects as this energy sublimates through the chakras. Sublimation is a word that means the inner alchemy. So we alchemize the denser sexual energies from the root chakra. So think of this more primal sexual energy that is sublimated through the massage techniques up through the higher chakras towards the crown of the head, Sahasrara, which is said to be the seat of the divine. So this connection to cosmic consciousness. So we see the connection between like being okay and shamelessly activating our primal nature, but not getting stuck there, right? With the right tools, with skillful application, with the understanding and just deep devotion to the potentiality that is laying dormant within our bodies and energy systems, we can alchemize to experience higher states of consciousness and divinity. And in that process, right, as the energy is moving through the body, through the chakras, so much can be purified. So any sadness or grief that may be stored in the heart can finally liberate because there's an energy that gets to blast through. And this process, can be deeply, deeply healing. And this is how it also comes together with this concept of pleasure as a sanctuary for healing. We can have deeply healing, liberating, and beautiful spiritual, sexual experiences.
I love how you tied that together. That is amazing. So the way that I can wrap my mind around this, just because someone without any experience, right, is it safe to maybe compare this to like a Kundalini class, right? Like it rises from the root chakra and moves up the spine to the crown.
Yeah, so essentially we're working with this, Kundalini life force energy. Kundalini awakening would be a whole other podcast. However, this is also a phenomenon that can happen if the person is energetically open to that experience.
That makes sense. Total sense. Okay. Thank you for explaining that. That really clarifies, because that's totally different than the documentary that I watched, which was very fascinating in and of itself. But this just like takes it to, I love that it connects with the meridians. And so that's part of like the whole ancient healing process that has been around for like thousands and thousands of years.
Add in there. So Tantra massage itself is a modernized modality because the ancient tantrics were so pure that they didn't need to pass through the body. They were just using energy techniques. So this is actually a modernized modality that different people have brought forth to the modern world. So here we see it's this ancient massage techniques, but it's also bridged with the energetic tantric techniques. So just wanted to clarify that.
Perfect. Thank you. Yes. Okay. That's great. I appreciate that clarification. Okay. So the next thing, let's talk about yoni massage. Let's go there next.
Yeah.
What in the world?
So many people ask me, how did you land on yoni massage? How are you massaging women's pussies? And I guess my own healing journey and healing my own sexuality and my own traumas guided me on this path. And, they say we can only hold others as deeply as what we've traversed ourselves. So I have arrived into, this deeply devoted place of serving women in this very intimate and deep and transformative container. Excuse the construction. We're in Mexico. Okay. All kinds of things can happen. So yoni massage session. So again, this is the full body tantra massage, and the yoni is the Sanskrit word for pussy or female genitals, meaning sacred space. And being massaged in this area and this part of it, and this very sacred part of our body, without a goal, right? Without this idea that, okay, we have a goal to orgasm, but being touched, being tended to, being massaged in this devotional, unconditionally loving and therapeutic way can unlock so much within a woman. I've worked with over 75 women, and I always say, I wish I could tell you what was going to happen, but it might be deep emotional release. It might be more subtle and like deep insights that arise, or there may be pleasure and an orgasm, and maybe a full body orgasm, and maybe a Kundalini activation. We don't know. And that's the beauty of the feminine journey. She gets to slow down on the twists and turns and just meet everything that arises along the way. So these sessions are, very, very precious and very dear to me. It's very, it's an initiation into a woman's feminine essence.
Wow, amazing. I bet if someone said to you like 15 years ago, this is what you were going to be doing, what would you say? Right?
Yeah. Surrender to the path.
Exactly. Well said. Yes, exactly.
They called me the Yoni whisperer the other day.
That's amazing. That's hilarious. So great. Okay, cool. So you are also the founder of the Pleasure Priestess mentorship. And when we birth our own special containers as we step into this healing world and the healing field, it's a process. I mean, it is a journey, and it's a healing process in and of itself for us as the creators. So what does that entail? What does it include? And we'll kind of come back to this a little bit, but just if you could briefly like explain, because I see here that you kind of have these 3 different offerings, right? You have the retreats, you have the in-person yoni massage, but then the Pleasure Priestess, from what I understand, is a remote container.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
the Pleasure Priestess was actually birthed here in Mexico. When I felt the call to come to Mexico, I knew something big was about to birth. And Quetzalcoatl is like the symbol, right? The God creator here in Mexico. And I felt a deep connection with this energy, which aligned me to birth this mentorship, which is so, so dear to my heart, because working with yoni massage and working with women one-on-one, I wanted to expand this work for women to continue to empower themselves. So when women leave from yoni massages, they often ask me, okay, so what's next? How can I continue this work? And so the Pleasure Priestess is that portal to offer the tools, the support, the guidance to continue this empowerment journey and to continue to discover the depths of pleasure potential that are available to us as women, to really embody our sacred sexuality, to restore the sacred in not only our bodies, our relationships, but in every area of life. Yeah, and the priestess archetype for me is one I deeply connect to. She is the mystical woman, the spiritual one, the one who has one foot here on earth and another in the mystical realms. So she is like this bridge between heaven and earth, this oracle. And when we connect so deeply to our pleasure and to our divinity through our sexual experiences, we get to connect to this priestess oracle energy, which is so sacred.
How beautiful. Okay, thank you for sharing that. Isn't that, and when you feel something, like you're on the cusp of something, it is such it's like you feel it viscerally, 100%. Yeah. So you felt it and you moved towards it.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of bravery.
Thank you. Well, we're here on a mission, right? We're here to fulfill our divine destinies. So just trusting that each path, even when we don't know, it's like trusting that we can leap with faith and it is serving the highest good.
Absolutely. Amazing. Okay. So now that we know what these experiences are, knowing all of that and how it really allows us to connect with not only ourselves, but with, a higher being, God, universe, Mother Nature, whatever you subscribe to, it really lands us there. So coming back to this conversation about the rebirth through that sexuality, what could you explain then that connection and how that ties in with the work that you do?
Yeah. So I guess we're all longing to know love, right? And then so much conditioning, so many experiences, traumas happen throughout our life that block us from fully connecting to that source, that divinity that is within.
Mm-hmm.
And there's many paths to self-realization. There's many paths to experience this source consciousness, God, goddess energy, whatever we want to call it. And the pleasure and sexuality path is one of them. And I would say it's a fast track approach to our own personal liberation. And why is that? Because we're working with the most potent and powerful energy that exists inside of us. Right? We can go on medicine journeys, we can do breath work, there's all types of modalities and substances that we can work with to go deep within. And sexuality, from my experience, has also been a very deep medicine. And the beauty is that it is sourced from within. So it is always there, it is always available and accessible. And as I was sharing before of this purification process, right, that as we awaken this energy, it will show us and reveal to us everything that is blocking us from experiencing our true divine nature. And so as we soften into these spaces, into pleasure, without trying to force our way there, but with also resourcing and having a better understanding of how to work with the nervous system, then we can soften and surrender into our pleasure and experience deeper depths of intimacy with self first and foremost. And what happens is so many women desire to experience deeper pleasure with their partner or in their own practice. But when there's all these blocks from past experiences, fear of abandonment, rejection, we keep our hearts closed. And for a woman, the positive pole in the body is the heart, and the negative pole is the yoni. And to keep it short, what that means is that as a woman opens her heart, the gateway that is her yoni also opens. And so as long as we as women are keeping our hearts closed, we will never experience the pleasure potential that is available to us. So opening the heart allows deeper pleasure to unfold and fill up our entire lives with this scintillating and liberating energy.
Wow. That makes so much sense. I love the polarity description. I mean, that's really something that you can connect and latch onto and understand. Yeah.
Yeah, one simple tool that I would offer women as well is to do an intuitive breast massage. And this is a beautiful first step to softening the energy, any blockages around the heart. So just even doing 5 minutes a day with some oil, just massaging the breast as you breathe deeply into the heart is a beautiful practice of self-love that we can all begin with.
I was just going to ask, how I'm assuming within the container, you offer different things that women can do to open the heart through that space.
Absolutely.
And then it actually makes me think about, I am of the philosophy that emotions have a tendency to get trapped in the body. and that those emotions carry a vibration, just like food carries a vibration. And when that, if there's a negative vibration, that can cause dis-ease, right? And thinking about this, like in America, right, in the United States, there is so much breast cancer. And as you were saying that, I'm like, wow, that's curious. I wonder if there is a connection with the closing of the heart connected to that. I mean, obviously there's more to it, right? But there has to be some sort of connection with closing the heart and leading to that.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely multi-layered. Definitely. And coming back to the emotions, in terms of energy, Tantra is really about embracing the shadow and the light and the full spectrum in between. So to the Tantrics, there is no good or a bad energy per se. It's just all energy. And they have tools to alchemize and sublimate this energy that, again, it can transform. It doesn't need to stay a dense or bad or negative energy, but it can just be transformed. And this, again, is energy that can actually elevate us and our consciousness. Yeah, there's a lot of embodiment work that I do I guess all of my work is founded on embodiment and transcending the body through the body. And specifically in the Pleasure Priestess mentorship, we do emotional expression and understand how to fully alchemize that energy.
Cool. Yeah. Okay, you mentioned just while you were describing that, that rebirth through sexuality, the nervous system. Could you share a little bit? Because we talked about this, and I totally understand this is not your specific area of expertise. However, it is something that a lot of people are talking about, is really calming the nervous system. And it really does start with the nervous system to just allow for healing to take place in whatever form that is. So how does pleasure and sexuality connect with that and offer us truly a way to heal?
Yeah, as you mentioned, I'm not an expert. However, I am a trauma-informed sex, love, and relationship coach. So I do have, an understanding of the nervous system. And ultimately, we cannot force our way to pleasure, because when the body goes into trauma response, the freeze mode, right? The freeze, fight, or flight mode will block us, will just absolutely block us. So there's no way of pushing past that to experience our pleasure. And so it's more of a process of softening and de-armoring and resourcing ourselves to gently and gracefully open to experiences of pleasure. And what I like to make a connection as well, like the vagus nerve, which is very interesting for anyone who's, has a fascination or an interest in the nervous.
I talk a lot about the vagus nerve in my container. Yeah.
Right. So it's directly connected to trauma healing and mystical spiritual experiences. It's also, right, it's the central channel. So it's connected directly up from the genitals up to the crown of the head, to the divine. And so not only can we heal our traumas as we resource and activate the vagus nerve, but we also entrain a much deeper, stronger, more powerful orgasm, and potentially also experience elevated states of consciousness and divinity through that process. So the nervous system is quite a fascinating topic to explore, and a very essential one when we're working with sexuality and trauma.
Yeah. The vagus nerve is super intriguing. I mean, if you see I've posted pictures of the vagus nerve as it connects to literally every single organ in the body, like head to toe. But I never thought about it from this perspective before. Like, I connect it to the microbiome. That's what I talk about with the vagus nerve. I mean, obviously it's connected to everything, but that's where my mind goes initially. So to think about it, like, duh. Of course it's there. Like, it's a nerve and nerve endings bundle there. So it's just, so fascinating. Okay, cool. Thank you for sharing that. So is there anything else about your work that you'd like to share before we kind of get into the offerings that you have?
Yeah, what to say about my offerings? I'm just so passionate about all of them. I actually am currently opening space for women to join the Pleasure Priestess mentorship. So that is one beautiful option that is open. I will be returning to
Is it
Montreal.
open now?
Yes, it's open
Okay.
for enrollment now in the month of May.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're headed
Yeah.
back to Montreal.
After 2 years.
Oh my God.
So I will be there and be available for in-person yoni massages for women who feel that deep soul call. And I always say, you just know, especially with the type of work that I do, when you know, and that's what you have to trust, right? It's the wisdom of your body. This is what I guide women into the work that I do. And it's also, yeah, learning to trust the wisdom that is within. And we have our dates for the next Tantra massage retreat here in Mexico. So next February 2023. Very excited to be facilitating this one again.
Amazing. So how long will you be in Montreal then?
From June to August.
June to August. Okay. And then you'll head back to Mexico.
Make a trip to Europe and let's see. I will be back in Mexico, most definitely.
Okay. Okay. Are you like leaving with all of your stuff, or are you saving your place where you're at?
I'll be back here. I live quite simply.
Okay. Yeah. I do too. And I love it that way. Okay. Awesome. So as far as the retreat will happen in February, is there a link or a website that I can put in the show notes that will explain what that covers? Or
Absolutely. So you can check out my website at thaliadevi.com and my Instagram, thaliadevi.tantra.
And are those the best places where people can connect with you?
Best places to connect with me. Absolutely.
So Instagram and website, I will link those all in the show notes. So all of you listeners that would like to connect with Devi can do that through those spaces. And I have one final question for you. I love to ask all of my guests, as this is the Live Your Raw Life podcast. Do you feel you are living your rich, authentically aligned, wholesome life?
Rich. What is richness? Richness to me feels like living the fullness of life. Yes, I definitely feel that.
Yay.
Authentically aligned. For me, that means being guided by spirit and trusting the unknown. Yeah. And wholesome. Absolutely. Living off the earth, the fresh fruits that grow off the trees here. And again, I think that the wholesome is this holistic view which leaves no parts of us tucked away. And that sexuality piece is that
Totally.
that brings it all together.
Yes. I love when my guests tie rich to like just what you said, like the richness of life, the experiences that they've had, whether it's through the people that surround them or the places that they've experienced or gone, like that to me is the richness. It's not money. It's the beauty. It's the surrounding. It's all of that. That's what it is to me. And obviously sometimes money plays a part of that, but that's not the foundation. Right. Yeah.
It's welcoming the richness in all areas. Yeah.
Forms. Totally. Yes. Exactly. I want to back up because I do have one question. The Pleasure Priestess is open all the way through May. So when does that start?
So this is individual, but I only take on a few women at a time. So this next wave that is open begins in the month of May. So I'm taking applications now, and the next wave will be the next 3 months.
Got it. Okay, perfect. So applicants are welcome now. It starts once those come in and you have a discussion and make sure that it's a good fit. Absolutely. And then in that 3 months time, a new wave could come through. Perfect. Exactly. Okay, got it. I just wanted to be clear on that because I didn't know if it was just like you take applications now and then you start in June or what that looked like. So I'm glad I asked. Okay, perfect. Well, I will add all of your links to the show notes. This was such an eye-opening and fascinating conversation. I definitely learned a lot, and I would love to hear if our listeners learned something new. If this is something that interests you, please connect with Devi on Instagram or through her website, which is in the link in the show notes. And thank you so much for being on.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Rachel. It was truly a pleasure to be here.
Heal yourself, heal the world. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you are listening on YouTube or any other podcast platform, I greatly appreciate your support. If something in this episode resonated with you, please like and subscribe to the Live Your Raw Life channel or podcast and leave a review while you're there. Your time, energy, and support is greatly appreciated. Sending light, love, and positive energy your way. We'll see you next week.